How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On the Ball. Welcome back to another episode of Review the Prem, where me and Sim predict in each and every Premier League game outcome. And this is the episode where we see how we got on. The scoring system is 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result. And the star man, once you pick that man, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season. 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. Going into this third game week of the season, Sim was 16 up to 15, so 1 point in it. And let's go and see how we got on, starting off with the first game of the weekend, which was Arsenal against Brighton. Both of us went for 2-1 to Arsenal, and it ended up 1-1. And I felt like Arsenal were in pretty much control. They took the 1-0 up, they went 1-0 up, and then it all kind of fell apart with the sending off.
Yeah, it did change the game completely. And I think after that sending off, Arsenal will probably be feeling like it was a really good point because they were under serious pressure for those last for the last pretty much 40 minutes. I mean, it was right after half-time, Declan Rice got sent off. But, you know, they'll obviously be happy with their first half display. Really nice goal from Havertz, lob over the keeper after a bit of good fortune from Saka to get it into his path. But Arsenal were well in control in that first half. And for all of Brighton's good play this season, I was actually quite disappointed with them in that first half. They were very much out of sorts. They couldn't live with Arsenal, really. I don't think it's fair to say it was one of those games that could have been 2 or 3. I think 1-0 was probably a fair reflection, but definitely Arsenal were very much on top in that first half and deservedly took the lead. Then that red card did change the game, and it wasn't long after they equalised as well. And to be fair to Arsenal, even with 10 men, they did have a couple of chances. Real Havertz had a one-on-one, and Saka had a really good chance at the back post to score, but definitely they'll be thanking David Raya a bit as well, the fact they came away with the point. But let's talk about the red card, because you've seen it back.
Yeah.
And for me, I know they're complaining about the sending off and him picking up a second yellow given all the circumstances. But at the end of the day, he knew what he was doing, I think, Declan Rice, in that situation.
I completely agree with that. I do think he knew what he was doing. And I know there's been a... the refs have been told to take this stuff kind of a lot more harshly going into this season. So that's that. But you have to ref the game consistently. And João Pedro smashes the ball completely away in the first half, so he doesn't get cautioned for that. So if that doesn't get cautioned, then I believe Declan Rice shouldn't be cautioned either. So I think they should be cautioning both, though.
Maybe, but I'll tell you what the difference is. The ball's running out of play for João Pedro's one, right? They have a multi-ball system. So the ball's running out of play, and as the ball just goes out of play, João Pedro boots the ball down the line as the ball goes out of play, and it's a throw. Arsenal aren't being delayed from the restart from him doing that. They can just go pick up a ball and throw it. If there's an Arsenal player nearby, the restart's not being delayed. Yeah, Declan Rice, the ball was in play. He's about to take the free kick, and he taps the ball away knowing it's going to delay it. So I think you could argue both cases, but I do think Rice is actually more of a yellow, and I think it's actually a bit of a different case. So I think the only argument Rice or Arsenal fans have is the fact that the ball was moving a bit, wasn't maybe in the right position, and as well Veltman does. If you watch the replay, I don't think Veltman's even looking at the ball. He does take an absolute swipe at Declan Rice, to be honest. So I think they are going to look back at that.
If you're in full motion like that, because he goes for the ball before the ball's even moved, before Declan Rice even touches the ball. If Declan Rice doesn't touch the ball, he hits the ball, in my opinion.
I don't know. His foot is very high. I have to look at it again. His foot looks really high. So
they called it Veltman kicking Declan Rice out of the North London derby.
Damn right.
That's what it was.
Lovely. And look, that's obviously good news for Spurs. But I think from Rice's point of view, I don't think he'll have too many complaints. Look, Arsenal are known, especially in the last...
He said it in the interview afterwards that, it is what I did was wrong and I should have been cautioned for it. But then he also went back to the João Pedro one. Yeah. And I still believe, I get what you're saying about, multiple system and all that, and it doesn't delay too much, but you still shouldn't be kicking the ball away like that. And the refs have been told to caution players on it. So yes, Declan Rice is more of a booking than João Pedro's, but I still believe both of them should have been cautioned.
No, that's fine. That's fair enough. But I think Arsenal have been doing a lot of this shithousery, especially in the last 2 years. And it's nice from a Spurs fan's point of view to see it finally getting punished.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've been getting away with a lot of this kind of stuff over the last couple of years.
Yeah, in a strange way, I actually felt like Arsenal in the first half, it was probably a better display of the season so far.
They were playing really good stuff. And I was very disappointed with Brighton. But look, to be fair with Brighton, it's not easy even against 10 men of Arsenal. We've seen Arsenal with 10 men win games over the last couple of years. So they did really well to get back in the game. They probably be disappointed they didn't win it with some of the chance they had. And for Fabian Hurtzler's first 3 games, win against Man United, draw against Arsenal, and a win against, they won their second game as well. They got 7 points. So doing a really good job at the moment. And 2 tough games, and they've managed them really well.
Arsenal. I mean, a point away at Arsenal, is brilliant for them. Let's move on. Brentford against Southampton. It finished 3-1 to Brentford. Both of us went for Brentford wins. I went for 2-0. You went for 1-0. So we both get a point there, 17-16 in your favour. I mean, it felt like for a time just because Southampton, again, they had chances in this game, but they just couldn't buy a goal, and it took them to the 95th minute to get their first goal of the season, where they probably should have had a few more. But, credit to Brentford. I thought they played a really good game, went 3-0 up and a deserved win.
I think Southampton, from what I can see at the moment, in the first 3 games, they're suffering from something probably like what I call either like Norwich or Burnley-itis, where you're kind of sticking to your guns, playing good football, but at the end of the day, you don't have the quality to do it in the Premier League, and you're coming unstuck. If you see the goals they conceded, I think the first 2, playing the ball out the back, losing it in their own defensive third, and then Mbeumo just having the quality to punish them. And I think at this level, if you're going to look, I think it's admirable for any side who feel like, look, this is how we're going to play, and this is how we're going to approach the game, and I appreciate that. But first 3 games, they've got 0 points. And they're struggling. I think they just got their first goal. And if you're playing that kind of football and you're struggling to score goals and you're leaking goals as easy as they are, it's a recipe for disaster. And I think Brentford were ready and waiting for them in this game. And to be fair, Brentford, no Ivan Toney, but they started the season fairly strongly, haven't they?
Really strongly, really strongly. I'm really liking the look of the dynamic of their front 3 of Sade, Wissa and Mbeumo. They're working really good together. And Mbeumo and Wissa, both of them have just started the season on absolute fire. And that's what they need with their star man and their talisman, Ivan Toney, leaving. They need other players to step up, and I think that's what we're seeing.
And so, Mbeumo's both his goals were brilliant as well. And look, if he can take up the mantle, obviously Ivan Toney's left behind now. They're going to need him massively. Obviously, they're going to lose that physical presence, but in games like yesterday where they're giving Southampton possession, it's perfect for them. And Southampton played right into their hands. So brilliant for Brentford. Really happy for them that they've had a really good start after life without Toney, and they've got another striker who's injured at the moment who's going to come back as well. So we'll see how he does. But I am a bit worried for Southampton early doors. I think they're playing to a lot of teams' hands at the moment.
With Brentford, your prediction at the beginning of the season was they're going to struggle. They're going to just about stay up. Do you still feel that's the case?
Look, it's a long season. A good start doesn't mean, when the games are coming thick and fast, whether they can keep it up. But got to give them credit. They made a brilliant start. And I think they're unbeaten. Is it 7 points at the moment?
Yeah.
So fair enough. I mean, they're probably... I'll give them credit. They've adapted better without Toney than I thought they would early doors for sure. But it's a long season. We'll see how if they can keep up this kind of form.
Everton, Bournemouth up next. It finished 3-2 to Bournemouth at Goodison. I went for 1-1. You went for 2-2. You think you were getting your 5-pointer there for a second?
I had it.
You thought you were going to get that 5-pointer there. But, before the game, I said you're going to see a really dogged Everton performance. Sean Dyche is going to lay into them. He's going to make them play, the good kind of style of play that he likes to implement, or I would say good style of play, a style of play that he likes to implement. And you're going to see a positive result and performance from Everton. And I predicted the draw. And I think you saw that for 87 minutes.
Yeah, probably.
They go 2-0 up. It looked like they were going to be on their way for their first points of this season. What the hell happened in those last 3 minutes? I mean, Semenyo, absolutely on fire this season. Cook gets one in Sinistera in the 96th minute. I mean, to go into the 87th minute 2-0 up and to lose the game, something's got to be horribly wrong.
Yeah, but to be fair, look, I'm going to give Everton a bit of credit here. I thought they really put in a response to the first 2 games, and the fact that they were 2-0 up and actually quite comfortable as well against a really good Bournemouth side who have given a few teams this season already a difficult run. And obviously you saw what they were like last season, not an easy team to play against. And Everton made fairly light work with them. And when it was 2-0, it wasn't a massive shock, to be honest. And they were quite comfortable. I think maybe Sean Dyche was saying after the game they got a bit ahead of themselves. themselves. He said it was like the 85th minute, and you saw fullbacks racing forward to overlap their wingers and get forward. They want more goals, and maybe because the crowd are just so excited about how they're playing, and that they're winning the game comfortably, and everyone's so happy. Like a lot of fans are, maybe the players got ahead of themselves and we've won this game, let's go get more goals, let's entertain a bit, and then maybe they lost their way. And as soon as they conceded after being so comfortable, I think it was panic stations, absolute panic stations. All of a sudden they realised, oh shit, this result actually isn't in the bag yet, and they completely fell apart in those last 2 minutes. Not even get a point out of that is got to be major disappointment. But in the context of that one game, I think it's fair to say they were very unlucky. But in the context of the season so far, that's now 3 defeats in a row. I know, to be fair, I think they started in a very similar fashion last season, I think with a string of losses, and they got their act together. Obviously, I do believe Dyche will get some results in the near future. I don't believe they're just going to keep losing game after game. But that's not going to... The Everton fans aren't going to take that well after an aggregate score of 7-0 loss in the first 2 games, and then 2-0 up just on 87 minutes and losing that game 3-2. Dyche will be so frustrated that they let that one slip, because he knows, with those kind of results, he is coming under a bit of pressure. So he needs, especially with the fans, being a bit toxic. So he needs to start getting results, and that would not do him any favours. I'm not saying he's near the sack anytime soon, but when fans are turning a bit and you're getting battered in the first 2 games, he needed a result in this game, so that'll be a bitter blow. But brilliant for Bournemouth. Start of the season unbeaten, 5 points first 3 games. Brilliant turnaround from them. And under Iraola, even though they were 2-0 down, they never give up. They always go to the last minute. And fair play to them, they end up turning around. They got some good strikers up there, and they showed it again with Semenyo and Sinisterra getting on the score sheet. They still got the likes of Evan Nilsson, Justin Kluivert, who's doing well at the moment. So
Solanke, no problem.
At the moment, they're looking all right. I wouldn't say no problem, but they seem to be dealing okay with it.
Ipswich, Fulham finished 1-1. I went for 2-2. Sim went for 2-1 to Ipswich, so I gain a point, which leaves it at 17 all. Ipswich take the lead after 15 minutes with Liam Delap's first goal of the season, and Adama Traore has actually started the season really well for Fulham this season. On the 32nd minute, equals the game, and that was it for the game. I didn't see much of it, but it looks like from the kind of progress bar, it was kind of a fairly even game, up and down from both sides.
Yeah, I mean, I also wasn't watching it, but what I can say is Delap's goal was an absolute stunner, running from the halfway line, beating one player and then sticking it into the top corner from 25 yards. Watching it back, I think Leno in goal will be a bit disappointed. He got a big hand to it, probably could have prevented it, but you can't take anything away from Delap. Did brilliantly to get that goal. But Fulham, I think, once after that moment, got back in the game. Traore did score, and I think both teams kind of took their turns in that second half to have a few chances, but no one could get that winner. I think Ipswich will be very disappointed, because taking the lead, first home game where they feel like it's a winnable game after having Liverpool and Man City in the first 2 games of the season, to take the lead and then give it up like that will be disappointing. So if I'm right in saying no promoted team has won yet this season in 9 games.
Southampton, Leicester, no, they haven't.
So it's not worrying. It's a bit of a worrying start for the promoted guys.
Only 3 games gone though.
Still, but that's 9 games for them and no wins.
Yeah, no, 3 games, 9 points. Yeah,
9 points, 9 games overall. I'm saying.
Oh yeah. Next up, Leicester against Villa, finished 2-1 to Villa. Both us going for 2-0. It's 18 all now in the scoring. Onana getting on the score sheet again. That's 2 goals in 3 games for Andre Onana.
And Andre is not even my name, mate.
They didn't think that would happen when they signed him.
No, definitely not. And John Duran, 2 goals as well this season, all from the bench. He's looking like a really good player, especially a good super sub. After he was doing that, and he was all but joined West Ham, he's banging in the goals for Villa this season. And Buonanotte getting a consolation for Leicester. And I felt like Buonanotte when I saw him firsthand against Spurs. I thought he was a really tricky customer last season for Brighton as well. I like what he was about. So I think it's a really good player that Leicester have picked up there. But look, Villa were just too strong for Leicester on the end of the day. Yeah,
I think the scoreline flatters Leicester a bit. I think 2-0 would have been fairer. They did get back in the game late on with Buonanotte, but I was watching this game, and Leicester, it was really comfortable for Villa. It was pretty much all Villa throughout the whole game up until they went 2-0 up. And then they did take their foot off the gas a bit, went 2-0 and allowed Leicester, to be fair, which is a trend with Villa. We saw that how many times last season. They get in the lead.
It's a trend with Unai Emery. Never mind Villa.
Yeah. I think it's part of the way he plays. Like he likes to get a result and then kind of see it out, settle on it, and he'll sit back and give you a chance to get back in the game. And I can't remember, I think they must have given up at like 2 or 3 2-0 score lines last season, Villa.
On to Nottingham Forest, they nearly gave up, or they did
and
give up.
They were 3-0 up to Forest and nearly gave that up as well. Like it's happened a few times with them. Obviously, they were comfortable. I mean, there was one moment at 2-1, I think Vardy puts the ball in the net, but the referee gives it offside. Actually, Ollie Skip, I saw, was getting quite involved in some of the attacking phase of play.
Double pivot of Ollie Skip and Harry Winks in this game.
Skip had quite a good game from what I was seeing. He was probably one of Leicester's better players, but look, fair play to Villa. Another solid away win. That's 2 away wins in a row. And to be fair, they've played quite well so far. Did well against West Ham. Should have gotten something out of the Arsenal game. We'll feel unlucky they didn't. And deserved win here. So 6 points out of 9 for them. Decent start to the season. Bit of a worry about Watkins, though. First 3 games, he's been taken off on the hour on each one. Obviously, he was at the Euros in the summer. But I wouldn't say the fact that he's been taken off is a worry. It's the fact that he keeps missing these big chances. It's happened in the first 3 games now. He's missed a lot of chances.
I think he's just playing his way into full fitness. He didn't have any pre-season whatsoever.
Will he get back in the team now, Duran scoring?
You are looking at a few kind of players coming back from the Euros looking a bit lethargic, looking a bit leggy. Look at Declan Rice. Declan Rice has been one of Arsenal's poorest players so far this season.
Foden hasn't got a minute yet.
You know what I mean? So these players are going to take a while to get into the season, I reckon.
That's a fair point. But Duran scoring, so if that keeps happening, he's not going to be able to find his way back in the team if he keeps scoring.
He grabbed an assist though, didn't he?
Kind of. I mean, you can call that an assist. I mean, I'd had him as my captain FPL, so I'll take it. But yeah.
Next up is Forest against Wolves. It finished 1-1. Both of us went for 1-1. So 5 points each, 23 all in that game. And it was just so obvious, wasn't it? It was so obvious. I think the last 3 or 4 results from these two sides have been 1-1. The goals were scored in the space of 3 minutes with Chris Wood and Bellegarde. And there was not much in this game, to be fair.
You just know both teams, they're going to be more about not losing this game than winning as soon as it gets to 1-1 in that situation. Both managers are more, defensive-minded about protecting the result. And as soon as it went 1-1, I think it was very difficult for either side to kind of get the advantage. Obviously, Wood carries on his good scoring form, following on from last season with another goal. But what a goal from Bellegarde. One touch from about 25 yards out, turns on a sixpence and just smashes it top corner. Brilliant goal. And he's been an exciting player for Wolves since he signed. But that goal was something of the top draw. So it'll be interesting seeing if he's capable of that more regularly.
Next up, West Ham against Man City. It finished 3-1 to Man City. I went for 3-1. Sim went for 2-0. And I thought it was more or less a demolition job for the majority of the game. Erling Haaland scoring his another hat-trick. Second hat-trick in 3 games this season.
Beast.
7 goals in the space of 3 games this season, which is more than any team has scored in this league so far, which is just monstrous numbers. Whenever you think Erling Haaland can't get better, he just does this kind of, just Erling Haaland doing Erling Haaland things, to be honest. And what finishes in some of his goals as well, just unbelievable. So, it was an Erling Haaland show. I thought Man City were brilliant and they've started the season on fire. And Pep Guardiola said after the game, all right, now the international break is here. Pre-season is finished and we're going to start the season after the international break.
Jesus, they ain't even started the season yet. They're looking as good as they are now. I also thought as well, De Bruyne in that first half was just running things impeccably. He was so unlucky not to get on the score sheet on a couple of occasions. One shot from the edge of the box that smacked the inside of the post. Another one he faked across and he went for that near post. It was a brilliant effort. And Areola just about got fingertips to it. I thought he's also started the season really strongly at the moment. But Haaland, you just know, as soon as that through ball goes through to him and he's got a run on his defender, like it's over. And 3 really clinical finishes. Now, what I like about the second one is, it's a finish where he had to take a touch in the box. He had to find a bit of space, but he was still able just to arrow it into that top corner. Unbelievable finish. And look, he's an absolute beast. Haaland. He started the season better than he's ever looked. I would say Haaland, which is tough to say after his last 2 seasons.
He's on course for about 60 goals this season.
It's crazy. I think he's on course like an XG of like over 50 or something, which is mad. From West Ham's point of view, look, you're not going to be judged really on the games against City. To be fair to them, obviously they got a goal against run of play, a really lucky goal was with Diaz's own goal. That was really well worked actually, getting it out wide to Bowen and getting it to the byline. And they did have that chance. I can't remember. I think it was at 2-1 where Kudus on the breakaway smacks the inside of the post on the breakaway. And if that goes in, could have been a different story. They end up missing it. I think Haaland then goes up and scores the third. So
there was that little moment in the game.
There was that
where
little moment. But yeah, you got to say, man,
it was more or less demolition
Man
job.
City deserved it. And you know what? Who's really going under the radar at the moment is actually Rico Lewis.
I knew you were going to say
he has been unbelievable, and I thought he was phenomenal in this game. He got an assist, I think, for Haaland's second goal, and I think he's playing in this obviously hybrid role, fullback in midfield, and he's just such a neat and tidy player. Never loses the ball, but when he gets in these final third positions where it's like very tight, he's so good at just finding a little option or finding a little bit of space. And like fair play to him, he's been brilliant.
You know who else I thought was actually really good without doing too much in goalmouth action was Jack Grealish. I thought Jack Grealish kept getting the ball, dragging players out of play. I mean, he's just kind of like always like the assist before the assist kind of thing. And I think Jack Grealish is such a top player and he goes so much under the radar with the performances that he puts in for Man City. Anyway, next up, Chelsea, Crystal Palace on the Sunday, finished 1-1. I went for 2-1, Sim went for 2-1, so 0 points there, 28-24 in my favour. I think the first time I'm in the lead this season after that 5-pointer. I didn't see any of it. The Spurs game was on at the same time, but judging by the graphs here, it looks like Chelsea had the majority of play and there was sucker punch, but I did see the goal by the brilliant Eberechi goal.
Yeah, Chelsea will definitely feel a bit annoyed they didn't win this game because they had a lot of possession, they had a lot of chances, and they were guilty of missing some real gilt-edged chances. It was one of those games where they had control, didn't take their chances, and they did in the second half allow Palace back into the game. Obviously, it was a good goal from Eze. And after that moment, to be fair, Kamada had an opportunity where he could have made it 2-1 Palace. So Palace definitely got back in that game, and it was a lot more even game in the second half. First half was all one-way traffic. Chelsea definitely deserved to take the lead. They should have won the game. They should have made it 2 or 3 in that first half. They didn't, and they got punished for it. But to be fair, after Kamada had that chance late on, they did have a couple of efforts in stoppage time, Chelsea, where they could have won it. Nicholas Jackson going through one-on-one, missing the chance. But to no avail. I would say Chelsea, performance-wise, they'll be happy with the fact that they should have won the game. But it was a disappointing result, only getting the 1-1 draw. And obviously, it's Palace's, I think, first point of the season, so they needed that as well after what was being a fairly disappointing start to them.
Good point for them at Stamford Bridge. I don't know if you saw the images from Stamford Bridge. I mean, the place looked like half empty.
I don't know. I didn't see that.
Didn't see that. No, literally half empty. There was a picture from the away end. The game is in play, and I think it's like halfway through the first half or second half. Literally just empty seats everywhere.
I didn't know. Yeah, maybe there's some reason for that. I don't know, but yeah, it'd be interesting for Chelsea's point of view. Obviously, they won that game 6-2 at Wolves. I was saying from the stats that's unsustainable, but to be fair, the stats in this game for them were a lot better than the Wolves game, but they end up drawing 1-1. So it's funny how football works. Probably would have been more fair if it was the other way around. But yeah, not a good result. I don't know. I don't think we can make too many sweeping conclusions from it. It was just maybe Chelsea got a bit unlucky with the chances they missed. Or is it a sign of the 6-2 Wolves game maybe was a bit of a one-off? We'll have to wait and see.
All shall be revealed, my friend. Next up is Newcastle-Tottenham. It finished 2-1 to Newcastle. I went for 2-1 to Newcastle. Sim went for 2-2. So I get 5 points. Sim gets 0, 33-24. And the writing was kind of on the wall in this game, to be honest. I felt like Newcastle came out probably the stronger of the two sides. Once Spurs took control, they took control for the rest of the game. Sucker punched twice by 2 attacks that we just defended awfully, really bad from Newcastle. And, you were saying next to me, we were sitting there watching the game and we were so on top, we had them penned into their box, to their half. And you were like, if we don't take this chance, if we don't take one of these chances, Newcastle's just going to go up the under end and score, win 2-1. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's gutting from a Tottenham fan's point of view because I think we can take a lot of heart from, the fact of how we played and we dominated and the fact that we created so many chances. And it's probably the best we've ever played at St James's Park for a long, long time. So that's a positive, but we've still got nothing to show for it. And obviously, look, as a club, we're trying to be better than Newcastle. We're trying to be, a team challenging regularly at the top. And when you're doing that and you're trying to do that, you have to take take advantage of when you're on top of a game, and if you don't do that, you have to defend properly. And I think this game exemplified the flaws this team, I should say, still have right now. This young team, defensively, was still a bit all over the place. We're still not doing the right things. I think obviously in the middle of the park and the way we control games is really great, but then in that final third, we had a ruthless edge to us against Everton, but by and large, in the 2 of the 3 games, we've been missing too many chances, and that was a big problem last season, and it's been a problem so far in the first 3 games. Obviously, we're hoping Solanke can solve that. Obviously, Richarlison was also out. Maybe he would have made a difference, but we need to start being a bit more ruthless in the final 5, because look, if I'm just being brutally honest, I don't think that our defence is going to be helping us out a massive amount this season when it comes to defending results. So I think we're going to need to score a lot of goals. And do we have the attack to do it? Remains to be seen.
Last but not least, Manchester United against Liverpool, which was a demolition job at Old Trafford for Liverpool. Arne Slot's first derby, Man United-Liverpool, and it was a 3-0 romping. Unbelievable scoreline. I went for 3-1 to Liverpool, so I was kind of half expecting it. Sim went for 1-1, so I get a point, 34-24. And I felt it was just like a tactical masterclass for Arne Slot. He completely out-tacticked Ten Hag throughout the whole 90 minutes, to be honest. Brilliant goals in there from Liverpool, 2 from Diaz, 1 from Mohamed Salah. And I thought Liverpool were breathtaking, to be honest.
They were fantastic. They were absolutely brilliant. And I have to give them a lot of credit, because I really thought Slot's first big test as well. Ten Hag has a way of finding results against Liverpool at home since he's taken charge. So I really thought they would be up for this one, Man United. And also, will Slot will not come unstuck, but will he be asked different questions? But he wasn't. It was an absolute demolition job. Liverpool were playing rondos. They were taking the piss at some point of Man United. It was so easy for them. One of the easiest wins they've ever had at Old Trafford. And I've seen them win there 5-0. I've seen them win there by big scorelines in the past few years. But that was up there with some of the easiest wins that they've had. I thought Diaz, Salah, the front three, and Jota were linking up. Was electrifying. Trent was absolutely controlling things, but they really exploited Casemiro, didn't they? Who had an absolute mare of a game. They said it was one of those games that maybe it's finally. I mean, we knew that he's past his best, but he was absolutely atrocious in this one. Yeah, he just all over the place.
He looked like an old man on that pitch.
He did. And someone actually played a really crucial role in this game, I thought, was Szoboszlai. I thought he was actually, in terms of the pressing he was doing, was really, really great. And
He's got a different role under Slot than under Klopp, and I think it suits him a lot better.
Yeah, a bit higher up the pitch as well. And I think it's he's doing really well at the moment, Dominic Szoboszlai. I think Trent's doing well. And they absolutely bagged them. And look, if this was an indication of how serious Liverpool are this season, then I think maybe they could be right up there, because first 3 games, they've looked absolutely every bit as good as anyone else in this league so far.
If not the best team in the league.
So I think they're the only team as well not to concede a goal, if I believe. So defensively, he's shorn them up. And they look like they've got that little bit of energy back, which last season was definitely, the last 8 games or so was waning.
Yeah. Do you think maybe strength in depth might be a bit of a problem for them
The thing is, they have depth. They have good
players. You're looking at the midfield. They got Endo, Harvey Elliott, and that's about it really for midfielders.
They got Curtis Jones, is there?
Curtis Jones, I guess, yeah.
They've got...
Is that top quality, though, like strength in depth, like as much as like Man City? And I guess
I like Harvey. I think Harvey Elliott's great. I think Endo's a really good number 6. If he's not going to be playing every week, that's good.
I guess
in the attack, they've got Nunes, they've got Gakpo coming in. That's not bad.
They really wanted a top midfielder to come in this window, didn't they?
They did.
They tried to get Zubamendi, and there's got to be a reason for that as well.
Yeah, but Gravenbercher, he's really developing him in a really good way. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they just... Like Gakpo can sometimes fit him in midfield as well, maybe in that number 10 position that Szoboszlai plays in. So... I think actually last season they had quite a bit of depth, and it was maybe underrated, but they did fall away a bit at the back end. Maybe it was a lot to do with how Klopp wanted him to play or whatever. I don't know what.
A lot of injuries.
Yeah, injuries. Slot has maybe adjusted a few things, but they seem to be reinvigorated at the moment. From Man United's point of view, though, I mean, I know I predicted them to get a draw, but I did say before this game I'm not seeing too much difference to last season at the moment, and I think this is more evidence of it at the moment.
I said before the season, I think you're going to see Ten Hag sacked by Christmas, and now he started the first 3 games, 2 losses out of 3. Yes, I know it's high-flying Brighton and Liverpool, both with new managers, but you got to say they've got to be doing better. That Manchester United, the board have put all their faith in Ten Hag. And I just don't get this faith in Ten Hag. Like, where's this faith come from? Like, they were openly looking for a new manager, literally so open about it. And then they just put their faith. If I was Ten Hag, I would have just walked.
It's because they won the FA Cup and
but they were looking for a new manager after the FA Cup win.
Which should have been decided beforehand. It doesn't look. Ineos has come in. Obviously, they made some decent signings, but it doesn't seem to be at the moment a project going in the right direction.
All that tells me is the first sign of trouble. They're just going to be looking for a new manager again, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're already looking for a new manager behind the scenes.
The thing is, they were looking for a manager. They couldn't find one, so they couldn't find one then. What's changed now? Who's more available?
They couldn't find one, but then they're looking at Brighton picking up this manager who looks brilliant. They're looking at Liverpool picking up Arne Slot. I mean, big managers and good managers are coming into this league. It's mind-blowing that they can't find a manager that's better than Ten Hag.
Yeah, they went for Tuchel, but that didn't quite work out. So I agree. I don't think Ten Hag is going to be... Well, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe it'll just be a case of it's going to be a bad season, but they'll let him see it out. And
already 3 games in.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to look. 3 games in, there's just no sign of improvement. I'm watching them play, and just from a tactical standpoint, I don't see too many upsides to how they're playing at the moment. I know Tottenham, I can tell you the same with Ange in terms of how his tactics are flawed, but I think they're flawed in a different way. I think Ten Hag's tactics are much less at the moment likely to bear out a long-term vision in the league. I know it did win a cup, but I'm not seeing just too much difference to how they approached games last season. Every season we're saying, okay, this is now when we're going to see the real Ten Hag football. We just haven't seen it at all.
No. And as well, at least with Spurs and Ange Postecoglou, you're seeing...
We control games.
Exactly, that's what I was about to say. You're seeing Spurs controlling the majority of 90 minutes in all 3 games that we've played. You can't see that about Man United. And that's the whole thing about Ten Hag ball at Ajax. So that's what he was doing every game, controlling games. And that's what you thought was going to be brought to Manchester United. And it's not like they've got a bad team. No, you look at this team, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Martinez and Dalot is a really good back four with Onana in goal. You've got Casemiro, aging Casemiro, Kobe Mainoo, who I thought was poor on the day, by the way, Kobe Mainoo. And Garnacho, Fernandes, Rashford and Xerxes, all good players.
A lot to work with.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot to work with.
So we shall see what happens. Moving on to the star men. Sim went for Johan Wissa, who got a goal. I went for Sammy Smodics, who got nothing. So I've actually got nothing out of my star men so far this season. I think Sim's already on 6 points. 7 points.
Yeah, got a draw. I got an assist from Isaac and a goal. Yeah.
So we end this week on 34 to 29. 3 5-pointers I got this week. Quite happy with myself. Yeah, Man City, Spurs, and Forest.
Yeah. Not bad. I was very close on a few occasions. Just missed them by. Bit of unluckiness, I would say.
Unluckiness, yeah, always. But that is the end. We take a break for a couple of weeks. It is international break, and we'll see you all very soon. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. See you next time, guys.